Hey guys, Crafty here from Living in Beta, and we are back with some more Cyberpunk content for you in the form of all the information you need to know about the upcoming DLC, Phantom Liberty. Media outlets are saying it's Cyberpunk 2.0, the franchise is back, it's a true underdog story. Little did they know that Cyberpunk has been a great game for a long time now, and this is just the next chapter in the game's history. Let's get into it. What first excited me with Phantom Liberty's news was how the expansion's inspirations were described by Cyberpunk's narrative director, Igor Sayinsky. Igor described having an overall theme in mind, which was then shaped by many different areas that fall under that umbrella. Spy thrillers like James Bond or Mission Impossible can be seen throughout Phantom Liberty's use of gadgets, or in some cases, mission pacing. Couple that with the framework of loyally working for an agency, but in time uncovering lies that are embedded within, harping back to classic spy novels like Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy, and then you have the foundations of any spy thriller to take place. Igor has also mentioned taking many real-world inspirations as well, from books, reports, even interviews with real spies and agents, and operations that have happened around the world. All of this has allowed them to build on an already much-loved genre, keeping it to the core of what makes it great, but adding that realism with the hopes of making it unique and fresh with their own spin. I think this is echoed nowhere better than the expansion's main setting and its characters. Dogtown is going to be our main place of business throughout Phantom Liberty. Located east of the Pacifica sub-districts of Coastview and Westwind Estates, this walled-off 3-sub-district combat zone has been heavily affected by the loss of funding after the Unification War, which has led to the concoction of authority and anarchy ruling its inner workings. On one hand, you can have rave parties under the stars and be okay, and then on the other hand, places are so dangerous that no one dares to enter them. The district was supposed to be a paradise, a casino Vegas Strip type area, but has instead been ravaged by Night City's economic downturn and essentially has become the roughest, dystopian part of Pacifica itself, featuring an undercurrent of violence and struggle. Quoting Keanu Reeves,
"Shit's gone down in Dogtown."
Oh, I like that tagline.
That being said, with all the chaos comes opportunity, and you can certainly find that here. Although part of Night City, Dogtown has its own vibe, outside of the jurisdiction of the NCPD, attracting all types of eccentric and dangerous characters, which in turn allows for the growth of all types of new and interesting endeavours. Free trade is a big selling point, free of corpos and corpo taxes, which is echoed in its black market, where you can find all kinds of unusual and interesting things, from weird tech to stolen corporate equipment. This is to some will be a paradise, and to us as players, takes Night City to a whole new level. CD Projekt Red have mentioned that a lot of work has been done in making this part of the world more vibrant, with a bigger focus on interior locations instead of the open world, and I can only see this as a positive. Lots of games in all of this genre think bigger is better, using vast uninhabited barren areas that become boring over time. I would take a small in-depth location over that every single time. With new locations and new stories comes new characters, the first prominent character being the leader and the person who chose the name Dogtown, Kurt Hansen.
In Dogtown, I keep your business safe as long as you abide by my rules.
Kurt himself divides opinion, some seeing him as a tyrant, others as a protector, but it's clear Kurt's focus is to control Dogtown itself. To do this, he uses his Barghast faction, which essentially is part gang, part military unit, of which he is the leader. This consists of Militech soldiers who stayed behind after the aforementioned war, but has in time attracted different gangsters and marauders to its cause. As any gang, they sometimes do things on their own, but are loyal and very much respect Kurt himself, touted as being more dangerous than the NCPD, and these will be for us to watch out for on our travels through Dogtown. The inspiration for Kurt and his faction is drawn heavily from South American drug lords, where they put a lot of money into the community, bring in business and offer protection/security to residents, which in turn allows them to reap the rewards of loyalty and control. I see us having a lot of interactions with this guy and his faction, and I cannot wait to see how it affects the overarching story. The next key character to focus on is Solomon Reed, played by Idris Elba himself. Narrative director Igor mentioned that Solomon is one of the most important characters in Phantom Liberty, and with Solomon they tried to create a complex, layered character that can be seen in many different ways depending on each individual player's perception. Working as a high-end spy for the NUSA, the kind of guy you send in undercover to disable governments, he becomes a sleeper agent after the need for his skills had waned, but is once again woken up in Phantom Liberty. Igor mentioned that Solomon is a super loyal, caring kind of character, stemming from a care to protect the greater good, but also loyal to those who are close to him, which can have a big effect on his decisions, with his loyalties pushing and pulling him in various directions. And Keanu Reeves mentioned in an interview with IGN that Solomon has some things in common with Johnny as well, being used and abused with a military background, but overall fighting for liberty. It seems in Phantom Liberty, his journey will start and end in revenge, but along the way is very much going to feel like they're just lashing out at the wind. I'm excited to see our interactions with Solomon, but one thing is for sure, it's a major coup to get another world-renowned actor into Cyberpunk 2077. A couple of other key characters we'll come across in Phantom Liberty are Songbird and President Rosaline Myers. Now, Songbird looks to be a very talented netrunner and the right hand of the NUSA President Rosaline Myers herself. You would have heard them in the trailer stating that they can save our life, as they know about the chip in our head if we help them with their current predicament, which of course is a massive point in the story as V as a whole. The developers have mentioned that Songbird is potentially the third most important character in the story, if you're going to rank them of course, and is supposed to be more of a mirror of V, with the intention for the player to feel like they could have interchanged in another life. Not much more is out there for Songbird at the moment, but it looks like it's someone we'll be becoming very, very close with. And lastly, for key characters at the moment, we have President Rosaline Myers, who of course is the president of the NUSA. We pick up with her at the very start of Phantom Liberty due to the fact that her ship, Space Force 1, crash landed in Dogtown. She's a former Marine, very capable with a gun, a badass combat character, but rounded out with being a capable politician alongside a hard focus on the human aspect of a person, which can both make her relatable, but also give her some very emotional responses to certain situations. Both her and Songbird play a key part of the opening sequence of Phantom Liberty, setting the foundation for our journey ahead. You can see here that the developers of the expansion have really looked to add more depth to the key characters, boasting that a lot of internal tests have been done on how the characters come across to the player, which can only be a good thing for us. Having this many key players in the story should make up for some of the disconnects we have in the main story of Cyberpunk 2077, and it shows a real willingness to learn from the mistakes. I'm excited to see how these play out. Moving away from the story and its characters, Phantom Liberty brings with it lots of massive changes to the weapons, armor, and cyberware systems we have come to know in Cyberpunk 2077. Armor rating in most cases will no longer be generated by clothing and will mostly come from cyberware you have equipped. This seems to be a big shift from developers, allowing the players to essentially wear what they wish, expanding on the previously added transmog system. They did mention that some pieces like a ballistic vest, for example, could add armor rating, but it would be very minor. Weapons have improvements here as well, with more powerful choices coming in the DLC, things like overclocked weapons coming into play but having an effect on your stamina due to the strength needed to hold them, and items themselves having stats and tiers associated with them gives the player more things to think about when deciding what to use from their arsenal. We will also see a general change to weapon vendors, with each one having a unique weapon offering relating to the location they're in or the level your character is. And with new clothing and weapons comes new mods with a focus on being able to alter stats in a more in-depth way compared to what we've been previously used to. Thinking back to, the Armadillo mod, for example, it was a very set and forget kind of mod. I believe they're now trying to make your choices more impactful. Then we have Cyberware, which introduces the new Cyberware capacity system. The aim here is to limit the amount of cyberware a player can use, but in turn give a more impactful gameplay experience that makes us as a player feel we are actually being upgraded by what we equipped. We also have the trade-off of equipping the max amount or even going above the cyberware capacity, then having a detrimental effect on our character like a HP getting brought down or stamina loss, mimicking cyberpsychosis in a way that we have seen in the Edgerunner series, or what we have to deal with when doing those cyberpsycho side missions. With the new cyberware system, we're also going to get some cyberware changes as well to help deliver more thrilling gameplay experiences. Options include being able to dash through the air, see enemies through walls, or pinpoint weak spots on their body to get maximum damage, even the potential ability to change our character's appearance with a spy-type camouflage feature fitting into the expansion's theme perfectly. This, of course, has an effect on the cyberware weapons we equip as well, with the weapons themselves becoming more powerful, but at the potential cost of HP or stamina. Personally, this is great, as previously, apart from being able to leap forward, equipping something like the Mantis Blades was no different to using a katana. We should feel more powerful when using Cyberware and see it as more of a special ability that accompanies our everyday combat setup. Adding in new animations for installing Cyberware to make it thematically more appealing, and reworking the quick buttons to have the button for Cyberware and a button for grenades instead of having to choose between one or the other are also excellent quality of life additions to the system. I feel like we're finally getting the combat and equipment overhaul we deserve, and once again it does look like the developers have taken note from what the modding community have been building. We could argue that one of the biggest changes coming in Phantom Liberty is within the attribute skill trees. There isn't a lot of concrete information here, but we are able to look at how it may work via a screenshot taken by Dave Oshery on Twitter. Link to this will be in the description below. Here you can see a look at what would be the new Reflexes perk tree, showcasing a much more simpler design with main perk choices surrounded by, in my opinion, smaller perk modifiers gated by a rank type system on the right. To me, it looks like they've replaced the attribute level systems, which currently gives us perk points or percentage modifiers in exchange for us using that attribute, with a tier rank type system that means you can only unlock certain perks once you have a certain level within that attribute. This is also echoed top left, where it shows a 16 out of 20 reflex level, with 20 needed to unlock the legendary perk options. Of course, this is speculation, but would be a really cool addition if true. The developers did mention that no longer are the bigger perks going to be percentage updates on skills. Each perk will offer something different, and I'm assuming, as mentioned, the smaller perks around will offer the percentage modifiers. For example, they have mentioned perks like katanas deflecting bullets, melee finishers as a skill unlock, mid-air dashing, even new perks and skills in the engineering tree to help with Cyberware, and things like cool extending how long camo would last in game. You would unlock the abilities as a big perk, and then modifiers around them would give things like duration bonuses or damage multipliers depending on the circumstance. Again, I'm guessing here a little, but I do not think I'm that far off. It has also been said that perks will now be individually refundable, which is a very welcome change over the current system of refunding all to make a change. Nothing on attribute recalibration yet though. I'm 50-50 on whether this will be added, as they do want to push for replayability and allowing us to do what we want with our one character does not really promote that. That being said, there's always going to be mods out there to help with that. Lastly, on the attribute tree and perks, they're going to be adding in a new 6th relic tree for Phantom Liberty. This will be located in that mysterious 6th slot, which we've all wondered why it's there on the attribute tree, right? Not much info is out there currently on this. We know things will be unlocked with relic points that we pick up throughout our travels in Phantom Liberty, with a big focus of exploring Dogtown to find these items, and then we'll spend them on perks that are fully focused on Cyberware. It looks like the developers want us to explore every nook and cranny of the expansion and have incentivized us to do so. A Cyberware based perk tree is a great idea as well, and once again adds in more complexity and personality to how we build our characters. If you took a poll on what the players of Cyberpunk dislike the most in the current iteration of the game, I believe the police system would be right up there. From the random spawns of the NCPD accompanied by those annoying robots to the fact you can lose them very fast and feel no impact at all in those encounters, there's a lot left to be desired. But CD Projekt Red has heard our cries and a full revamp is on its way. Police will now show up in vehicles searching for you, with the AI reacting differently depending on the area you're in. For example, rich areas will make police more all over you versus more casual behaviours in poor areas. And it also brings with it a GTA star-like system as well, with more stars bringing more serious pressure from the police, with the higher stars allowing for MacTac to deploy and rain on your parade. Police chases will happen, roadblocks and barricades will be put in place to stop you in your tracks, and even options to listen into the police radio and see what may happen next are coming to help you plan your next move. It was also mentioned that we will also see these type of interactions with the AI themselves, witnessing police chases around us and in turn really adding to the general environmental feel of Night City. Look, if I'm honest, I think it sounds a little too good to be true, and we'll have to see how it all turns out. It's obviously different in Dogtown as well with the Bahati gang, but if they do pull this off, I think this could be one of the most well-perceived changes coming overall. Lastly, I thought it'd be good to discuss some of the small points relating to the expansion in the game's future. The first thing to note is that you can continue from an existing save game. I know there was some worry here as the story in Phantom Liberty seems to give a new look to how we deal with the chip in our heads. It may not make sense with the endings that we have chosen, but the developers have combated this by putting Phantom Liberty content being unlocked after you pass the mission with the Voodoo Boys. I think it's the Map 10 Pelon mission, making it part of the overall story as a whole if you start the game from the DLC drop. It is yet to be seen if we get new endings for the game because of this, or how much of an effect it will actually have on our Johnny-fueled chip journey, but I'm intrigued to find out. The major point to discuss here, though, stems from some calling this Cyberpunk 2.0 due to the wide range of changes that are happening. But I think it's important to note that, of course, some of these changes won't just be behind the paywall of the DLC. We haven't had any clarification per se, but rumours are that patch 1.7 may drop slightly before or on the same day as the DLC arrives. This giving players who may not be purchasing the expansion access to all the new changes. I think it wouldn't be too far wrong to say that the story, new location and characters would be part of the DLC, and then the general changes to perks, skills and cyberware, to name a few, would be open to everyone as part of the new patch. Even the fact that they're making balance changes with difficulty and how the AI reacts, giving a cooldown to healing so you can't just spam and win, to the fact enemies will use cover more, use a wide range of quick hacks on you, and even engage in vehicle combat. These are all such drastic changes to the base game that I cannot personally see this being placed behind the purchase of the DLC. Personally, I see the patch dropping a week or two before the DLC's release for players to get used to how the game plays and get their characters ready for what Phantom Liberty has to offer. It could even be used to promote or market the expansion itself. This is all assuming the new systems are not locked, behind things that do in Dogtown itself. But let's hope it's all done right, so all types of players and circumstances are catered for. Phantom Liberty is a spy thriller, a quest to understand what's going on, a scavenger hunt to see why things are the way they are, a constant question mark on what's true and what's fiction, and it's a great recipe for success if you ask me. More than that though, I would say it's a drastic rework of the base game, and it somewhat feels like the developers have kind of wished they could have given this at the start. One thing is for sure though, they're showing a willingness to listen, learn, take in what people are saying, take in that feedback, and do everything they can to help give the best experience for the players. I do feel bad for them sometimes, because I feel like I really do, as I said a second ago, feel like this is something they wish they could have done at the start. But let us know your thoughts down below. Are you excited for Phantom Liberty? What's the bits that you like? What's the bits that you wish they would add? We'll obviously get down there in the comments with you. But for now, thank you very much for watching. Like the video if you liked it. Share with your friends and family. Subscribe for more content like this one. And remember, don't be a gonk.